Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our very first episode of the H5 Inspired Webinar Series. I'm Seth Butte from NAU's Arizona Institute for Education and Economy. Our Inspired Webinar Series is designed to share stories of creative and innovative solutions from our H5 Coalition partners, and we hope they inspire you. Today, we feature a story of how a team of innovative educators from Agua Fria Union High School District teamed up with community partners to empower students with essential coding skills. If you have questions along the way, the Q&A is enabled, so you can post questions there, and we'll answer some questions at the end and provide a little time following the half an hour scheduled webinar. All right, I would like to introduce from Agua Fria, Drew Olson, and from Coding in Color, Miss Diana Lee Guzman.
All right, Seth, thank you so much for having us today and kicking off this series. We want to share a little bit about what we've done in our district. But before we do that, I want to kind of get into what the problem that we're trying to solve is. And so that starts with an understanding of what is computer science. Now, computer science is understanding why and how computers work. We're looking at how we can be creators and understand the digital and technical world around us. It is different from digital literacy. We obviously want our students to have a baseline of technology literacy. We know that they're really good at working on their phones. That last bullet point on the right-hand side, they're great at using apps that are created by others, but what more can they do in this increasingly technology-centric world? And that's really what we've been focused on, is how can we build in more opportunities for students to be active creators versus passive consumers. So this is even a little outdated. I would say the need for this is even more now with advancements in artificial intelligence, with the increasing threats of cybersecurity that touch everyone. And so we have to figure out how can we start having students learn some of these key skills so they can go out and be leaders in their respective fields. So computer science really is an essential 21st century skill, right? Just like we teach students photosynthesis and the digestive system or electricity, we want we want students to understand the world around them. And because they're constantly using technology, we're talking hours a day, it's so important for them to understand how the internet works, how to create an app, and some of the more practical applications of technology beyond just passive use. The six different studies show that children who study computer science perform better in other subjects. They excel at problem solving, and they're more likely to attend a 4 or 2 year university. So with that, we know that there's a need. We know that it clearly has some benefits to our learners, but there's some major roadblocks in the way. So at the top, you'll see kind of a breakdown of, I joked that, Arizona's not bottom five, we're bottom six for access to computer science education in our state. So we do fall towards the bottom. And out of those bottom states, we're one of the only ones that actually does not have a state plan in place to expand these resources for our students. On the bottom there is a representation or a comparison of computer science access by courses regionally. So we're at the bottom in comparison to New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, and Nevada. There's a lot of roadblocks in the way in terms of finding teachers, finding curriculum, building those courses out. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today and how we're approaching that problem that clearly exists in our state. We want students to be able to access the financial rewards from these jobs. It's not just that it helps them be students, but it can help them go on and have a lucrative, productive career. So there are many, many job openings in computer science related jobs. And computer science education majors tend to earn 40% or more than the college average. And that's even true for non 4 year computer science majors. You can get a 2 year degree or sometimes you get a credential right out of high school and be ready for work. So we're really in our district moving towards a workforce development model. And so we're just constantly thinking about how can we prepare students for that world that they're going to inherit. Other economic factors, kind of big picture looking at this. This is the top 10 companies on the S&P 500 from 2005 on the left. You'll see it's a mix between all different types of companies. On the right, it's almost entirely high-tech companies. And even the ones that are not explicitly technology definitely have components of technology and plenty of jobs that require technology skills. So the economic factors and the incentives to have students learn these skills is enormous and something that us in education really need to start responding to as soon as possible. So I'll finish with this and then I'll pass it off to Diana in terms of what she's doing to kind of solve this problem. But here in the West Valley, located in Avondale, Goodyear, Litchfield side of the valley, and we're seeing a 38% increase of IT startups on the West Valley. And companies like Microsoft, Stream, Compass are building out gigantic data centers, which are going to need more and more skilled jobs having to do with technology. So looking at the kind of big scale economic factors, looking at what's happening in our communities, we really want to start taking a look at how are academic programs matching the needs of the companies that are moving in here. So with that, I'll kind of pass it over to Diana to talk about how she's tackling this problem herself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Diana Lee Guzman. I'm the founder and executive director of Coding Color, a nonprofit focused on computer science education here in the state of Arizona. So very quickly, little background is I am actually a computer scientist. I've been a practicing software engineer over the last 6 years. I worked at both Boeing and Microsoft, and I have firsthand experience of the transformation and power of a computer science education. And I imagine Arizona where we all students have access to this type of education and opportunities. So a little bit about the organization, like I mentioned, focused on computer science education. We want every student to have access to computer science education. And currently our organization serves over 250 students. We offer computer science courses, which I'll jump into in the next slide. We also offer other enrichment activities such as hackathons, summer camps, and workshops for our students. And then you can see here that majority of the students that we reach are students who have not had prior exposure to the computer sciences. So the service that I really want to highlight here is our computer science courses. So particularly in our partnership with Agua Fria High School District, we have installed a web development course in which students are able to learn about the computer sciences, but it still has sort of a twist of a workforce development skill, just because those two things are not mutually exclusive. We can definitely teach computer science in a way in which students are able to gain skills that are directly applicable right after high school if they want to go get a full stack software engineering role right after. Our organization currently has partnerships with Agua Fria, like I mentioned, as well as Maricopa County Juvenile Detention, Salt River Schools, and also Maricopa County Regional School District. And we are currently funded by our generous donors, Microsoft, APS, Verizon, and Banner Health, as well as some local in-kind giving.
Awesome. So we'll talk a little bit now about what exactly we've done together, and Diana will share a little bit more of the nitty-gritty in terms of what she offers. But organizationally, we've built this in as an in-school enrichment class. So we're a high school district, and we have an RTI period that's built in 4 days a week. So we have a group of students that meets, and they go to, at one school, there's 2 teachers that partner as the teacher of record to kind of house the students and make sure that they're there and take attendance. And then those students come and they learn different computer science lessons each day. So we look at it as like an enrichment. RTI, you can either do reteach or enrichment. This is an enrichment opportunity for them. We have not only teachers that are there as the teacher of record, but the site administrators are very, very helpful and integral in supporting the teachers. making sure that the program's running, and then acting as a communication point between myself and Diana, just so that if there's a site going on and there's a schedule change, that we're all in the loop on that. This really started with a partnership between Diana and I, and having a conversation about how we can do this. And then it took some collaboration between our site leadership teams, picking the teachers organizing students that could be involved in something like this, whether it's in an after schools type format, or in this case, we did it built out during our RTI period. Dan, do you want to talk a little bit more about what they actually do?
Yeah, so a little bit about what Coding in Color specifically offers. So we partner with districts, we partner with schools, and we primarily offer curriculum as well as instructors. So finding computer science teachers who are ready to go right out of the gate is a very rare find. So in order for us to help, just install a program very quickly, we provide instructors who are typically community college or university computer science students, and they work in collaboration with the teacher in the classroom, which is the teacher of record. And we come in with our curriculum. So there's lots of computer science curriculum out there, but the one we particularly wanted to choose was one, like I mentioned, that has a workforce development sort of twist on it, just because not every student wants to go off and go to college, but that shouldn't be a barrier for them to enter into the tech workforce and to contribute as software engineers. So, yeah, I think that gives a good high level.
Great. And so in addition, I mean, we've been at this to make sure that students have the ability to learn some of these skills. And as we're going, we're seeing that there's some unintended successes that we're having. One of those is, so we have these teachers of record that have said, yeah, I'll have a couple kids in my classroom that are learning coding with their TA from a community college. And as a result, they're around the class, they're around the students, they're seeing the material being taught. And we actually have one of our teachers of record who's working on his certification to become a computer science teacher. So it's kind of a way for them to dip their toe in the water to see like, oh, maybe this is something that I want to do, and start working towards a certification so that they can actually go on and teach the class. In addition to that, our principal, our career and technical education director also saw that, wow, there's a need for this. Kids are going to this 4 days a week. Clearly, there's some value here. And so we're committing now to increasing the amount of software and app development pathways in our district because of this program. And then when we bring in a community partner, in this case, a community college student, he's interacting with the kids 4 days a week. And he's really kind of becoming this mentor teacher figure in the classroom, and he or she. But you have to think that long term, he's going to be an advocate for education. If he's in there, if he's working with those students, he's helping them build and grow and develop, then he's probably more likely to be an advocate or ally for education as a whole. And we've really, really valued that community college connection that we've been able to foster with this program. So looking at towards the future, we're going to continue to build out those software and app development design pathways at the schools that we didn't have them prior. So we have 3 schools that already have those CT pathways, 2 that don't, and now the 2 that don't will be working on establishing those pathways at those schools. In the future, we're building a new high school, and part of that high school is going to be an IT academy that has cybersecurity, robotics, and AI and coding. Obviously, those teachers don't grow on trees either. So it's going to take similar partnerships with community partners, with colleges, to make sure that those students can get that education that they need. And then lastly, for us, again, just kind of double clicking on that partnership with EMCC in our case, Estrella Mountain, they have students that are learning this stuff that have some of the technology skills, and being able to bring them in and fill in the gaps of our staff is just a super positive thing that we want to pursue as much as we possibly can in other avenues. And then Diana, do you want to highlight your future program as well?
Yeah, so we do plan to continue to offer our computer science courses for the next few years, but we are starting a new program, which is artificial intelligence education, and this will also be for students and teachers, for them to learn about how is AI developed, what are some of the ethics behind AI, responsible use of AI. So that will start in fall of 2025. So if anyone is interested in bringing, if you already have maybe a computer science course at your school and you're looking to take it a step further, AI education is also very, very important for our students and teachers.
Okay. So Seth, I think we have some time built in here for questions. So we can start that. Does anyone have any questions?
So I have a question for the folks on the call is, does anyone not have computer science courses at their school, or is there some schools that don't have computer science courses in your district?
I'll jump on. So we do, it's through our CTE program. We have a career and technical education program. And then we do some at our junior high as well, but mainly 9-12 is where we're focused with this type of environment for our students.
I'll jump on as well. I'll kind of echo what Robbie's talking about, at least from the high school perspective. This is Tim in Yuma. We have our CTE IT essential courses. Every now and then we do have a computer science AP course that makes, and we do a little bit with cybersecurity as well in the CTE world.
I can jump in. Buckeye Union here. We have coding set up in our CTE department, so the students can choose to do that and get a full CTE certification, take the state test, skills assessment, and so forth. The normal CTE thing that we do here. We also partner with our elementary schools to run that same curriculum up through from the elementary school up to high school. So that's what we have going on for us.
All right, everyone, thank you for sharing so far. I have a question well, two questions kind of. One for Diana, how do you identify these students who participate with coding in color?
Yeah, so it depends on the district. Every district works a little differently. But in the case of Drew, the partnership between Drew and I, Agua, Fria, and Coding Color, is Drew was able to identify some teachers who would be really great advocates and be involved in the process, and they were instrumental to recruiting students into the courses. With other districts, it is more hands-on, like we'll go in, we'll do workshops with the students so that way they get to know the organization a little more. So we get a little bit more involved if there's no teacher sort of representatives or advocates. That is a little tougher for us. It definitely works better when there's a teacher on site to champion the program. But yeah, it just depends on the district and the school we're working with.
Thank you. A question for Drew. When you're looking to provide the coding opportunity for students, did you start by checking for organizations? Did you go to the community college first? How did that process start? Just the connecting with everyone.
Well, I guess this is a plug for the Institute, because it was knowing, I guess I think Diana had a conversation with Leanna Chad and the Institute, and then they reached out and said, kind of go and talk to Agua Fria. She talked to colleagues of mine, and then Diana and I sort of spoke and figure out how is this going to work in our context? Is this going to be an after-school program? Is it going to be during school? And then really trying to target our schools that didn't offer these because we want to ensure that we have equitable access to these types of programs. So just having these types of programs at 3 schools was a good start, but focusing on the schools that didn't have those programs and how we could bring in Diana's expertise and her resources. And then Diana, I believe her and I got on a call with EMCC. We've had some collaboration with them around AI. We hosted the AI Summit 2 years ago, and their Department of Computer Science head actually presented at that conference. And so through that, we had a conversation, and then she was able to talk to Diana, and then they worked out a student or two. And then Diana, I think you've actually worked with EMCC before, correct?
Yes, we recruit very heavily from EMCC, ASU, their computer science students there.
Okay, thanks. And that's Estrella Mountain Community College for those that are not in the Metro Phoenix area. Does anyone else have any questions for Drew or Diana?
Well, Diana, speaking along the lines of the partnerships to get the instructors from EMCC or ASU, because we have folks on the call that aren't in the Maricopa County or on the west side, what would that look like for someone who isn't geographically close to those institutions?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question because we're actually looking into that. We're starting services in northern Arizona near the Flagstaff area. So computer science students are pretty much everywhere at any community college or university institution. So what we could do is recruit students from those institutions. That way they can come teach for us. And we do pay also competitively for college students. So that definitely gets them excited to be able to, work a part-time job, getting paid a decent salary. And also too, is they get to practice what they learn. Students are super interested in applying their skills somewhere. And sometimes, software engineering internships are super competitive. So having another opportunity to work those skills, they're very eager to instruct and to be part of the organization. So we would recruit from local community colleges. And if we were to run into an issue where we couldn't find local talent, there's 2 options there. We can develop the local talent, and we can also even think about virtual instruction if necessary.
And then Diana, and I'm asking this question, I kind of know the answer because we've had a couple conversations, but I wondered if you could expand a little bit on your own story and the idea behind the coding in color and sort of your organization's mission with those regards.
Yeah, so I was born and raised here, Phoenix, Arizona. So Maricopa County's been my home for a really long time. I attended Carl Hayden High School, and I went off to college, and I went to the engineering school in New York University, and I studied computer science there. And I noticed that there were a lot of what is the right word for this? The jobs that I was looking at as a computer scientist, I was like, you can go make so much money with these degrees. And I thought to myself, wow, there's a lot of kids back home who could really benefit from this type of education. And, specifically me, I grew up in a neighborhood where the average household was making $30,000 to $40,000. And then you go look at software engineering roles, and the minimum, like with 0 years of experience, you can go make $60,000, $70,000 a year. And that's your starting point. And that could really change the lives of so many students who maybe just are looking for a way out of difficult financial situations that they've grown up in. So I do find it as a wonderful sort of vehicle for students to, have that social mobility. And so I started this nonprofit as a passion project when I was in college. And I ran it as a passion project over the last 6 years while I was a full-time software engineer. And I got to work on such amazing projects at Boeing and at Microsoft. At Boeing, I was working on, like pilot displays, programming those sensors so that the sensor data can come up on the displays, and autonomous submarines. So basically no man was on board in the submarine, but I could program it to go deliver payloads underwater. Lots of such fun projects that I was, I really enjoyed my job. But, about a year and a half ago, I was laid off along with half of my organization at Microsoft. It was just tech layoffs were kind of everywhere. And I just sort of had a moment where I was like, do I want to continue my software engineering route, which is something I really enjoyed, I really loved. But on the other end, I was like, I really want more students to be able to have the access to these types of opportunities, because I know what transformation it brought to my life specifically. And it's like I'm like, I can't be the only one to experience this, and I want to bring all these students along, if they choose to, right? Not everybody wants to be a computer scientist, not everyone wants to do tech stuff, but they should have the choice, right? So that is like a huge sort of backstory to why I started this organization. And I just have this deep purpose and alignment that students from whatever walks of life should be able to have some sort of autonomy and fulfillment along the way. So, yeah.
Thank you. I just love your mission and I love your backstory. So thanks for sharing that. And I do have one final question, and I don't know if it's best positioned to Drew or Diana, but I'm curious. I was lucky enough to be able to go on and observe one of the community college students teaching a class a few weeks ago. And I was just really impressed with him. Like he actually had a lot of teacher talk, like he sounded like a teacher. He was great. And I wondered if you have any stories yet of the impact of this program on the community college students. We understand the impact and the opportunities it gives the high school students, but have we seen or heard anything about the impact on the community college students?
Diana, I think you probably interface with them more, so maybe you take that one.
Yeah. So the instructor at Desert Edge and Millennium, his name's Hastiel. That is still in progress. So I haven't been able to see the impact quite yet. He's been with us for about 3 months, but I can say two instructors of ours, they're both computer science students at the college level. They were previous students of ours. And they had some maybe interest in the computer sciences, they weren't sure, and they got involved with some of our programs. And then they went off to major in computer science, and then they came back when we started opening roles, and they came back to apply as instructors, so that way they could go and work with students that were in very similar positions as they were a few years ago. And just having conversations with them is, computer science and engineering school is pretty tough. But when you have a community there and people who you see like, okay, you've done it, you've been through it, that means I can do it. I can also, roll with the punches here. And they have, told me, I guess off the record, like being involved in Coding in Color, being involved with other computer science students. And, I have a lot of connections in the tech industry. So I bring them in because they're my personal friends, and they're all software engineers and in the computing field. And they're able also to interact with them, and they're able to see like, wow, like there's these professionals and they're able to make it through. Like I want to do the same. And I think that this is possible for me. And sometimes you forget that when you're not super involved in that community or seeing people who've made it through, being able to have that constant sort of interaction with them can be reassuring.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's looks like our time is coming to a close here. I want to thank Diana for presenting today. Drew, thank you so much for sharing Agua Fria's story and how you've connected with Coding in Color and with Estrella Mountain Community College to provide opportunities for your students. And if anyone reaches out, we'll connect them with you if they have any further questions. And we hope that the presentation today inspires any of our viewers to think either directly or indirectly about how they may solve some issues in their own districts. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.